Right now, you can get any queen size premium MyPillow regularly $69.98 for only $29.98. Go to mypillow.com and click on the Radio Listeners Square. Don't forget to use the promo code Carter. Welcome to the Sarah Carter Show. I want y'all to hear this because I want to let you know that I'm going to rip right into Reverend Warnock right after this quote from him, and I'll tell you why in a moment.
America, nobody can serve God and the military. You can't serve God and money. You cannot serve God and mammon at the same time. America, choose ye this day whom you will serve.
He is a socialist. He is a Marxist socialist posing as a reverend with his ideals. He's allowed to think whatever he wants. But remember, this is a man that's running for the Senate. And we already have a lot of folks right now in Congress and in the Senate that absolutely believe in this ideology, in this Marxist ideology. I'm going to tell you why he is so wrong. Warnock is so wrong on this. My husband is a God-fearing man. My husband went to battle to save our nation from terrorists that were trying and continue to target our nation, our children, our way of life, our freedom, who want to see us collapse, who want to see Western society gone. My husband joined the military like my father did before he was 18 years old. My husband isn't a guy that went to West Point or to the Annapolis Naval Academy. He was a young man who came from a poor family who decided that he wanted to join the military because he loved his country and because he loved God. He's a God-fearing guy. He became a special operator and went overseas. I can't even tell you how many times on missions, on operations. He would probably not even be happy if I share this with you because he's such a humble guy. But, you know, he was one of the best soldiers there is. He's a Delta Force operator. And he went overseas to do his duty and to do his job. And what Warnock said is a complete disgrace to the men and women in uniform and those in the intelligence community that serve our nation overseas every single day and put their lives on the line to protect their fellow man. They walk similarly in the same fashion, right? Sacrificing everything. Isn't that the lesson that we learned in the Bible from Christ? Is to sacrifice? So I want you to think about this, everyone. I want you to think about this January 5th. For all of you out there, I know you got a lot of folks in Georgia who listen to this podcast. And look, Sidney Powell is my friend. I don't know Lynn Wood that well, but he's a great American. He seems like he's out there fighting all the time, believing that he is, doing the right thing by standing up and saying, we got to stand up for something. We can't go to vote. No, don't listen. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I saw everyone in Georgia, like everyone else, right, with the president on Saturday. That rally was massive, massive. Everybody needs to vote. People like my husband and his friends who've lost their lives on the battlefield. My husband lost his eyesight. And all the American soldiers since the beginning of this nation, all of our troops that have given their lives for our country have done so that we could vote, so that we can live in a republic where our vote mattered, where our vote counts. We can't fight. I'm going to have Representative Andy Biggs on the show. And Congressman Biggs, he is the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. That's why I have him on. Chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. He is very, very important in this. And he's going to come out. He's going to say the same thing. We have got to get out there and vote because then we won't have anything to fight for. Right? Don't sit at home. We can do this. Our founding fathers established a country that allows us to take the battle. As long as we remember we're in charge, don't give up. Don't give up hope. Don't give up faith. We can do this, but don't let the Senate be lost. Look, right now, before I even get into that, I want to talk to you guys about something. It's a great product, and then I'm going to jump right into something very important. It's going to be the new polls. And I know you don't want to believe in all those polls, but I got to read these polls off to you because the races are really close in Georgia. But before I get there, I want to tell you what keeps me awake, what keeps me going, what keeps me healthy in this most stressful time in my life. Trust me. I know it is for you too. I mean, this has been the craziest year ever, and it's Super Beets soft chews. That's Super Beets soft chews. And if you're not taking them, you are missing out on your vitamins, especially right now with flu season and COVID and everything else. You want your body to be geared up to fight back. And that's what I do. There's a grapeseed extract that is used in these Super Beets soft chews, and it's actually been clinically shown to be 2 times as effective at supporting normal blood pressure as healthy lifestyle alone. So you're going to get so much out of this. Better blood pressure means more energy, the way nature intended, without the jittery caffeine and stimulants. Do what I do and support your heart health with delicious Super Beets soft chews. Get your Super Beets chews today at getsuperbeets.com/Carter. Don't forget to put in Carter, because when you put in Carter, you buy 2 bags and they'll throw in a third for free. That's getsuperbeets.com/Carter. Now let me get back to what I was talking to you about, because this is very, very important. It's about the polls. And right now, the latest polls show Senator David Perdue. Now, remember, he's running for re-election against Democrat Jon Ossoff, and it's a regularly scheduled election for them. But they are like right on each other's tails right now. This is what we're seeing. We're seeing like Ossoff around 48.7%, Perdue around 47.9%. Now, with Georgia's special Senate election, and that's Senator Kelly Loeffler, she is right now right around 47%, and Warnock, the Marxist, is actually at 49.2%, according to this poll. It could be completely off. There could be changes. Now, remember, the Senate currently stands at 50 Republicans and 48 Democrats. If Democrats win both of those runoffs, the party will have control of the chamber. Why? Because you have Vice President Kamala Harris, and she's going to break the tie. They are going to take control of the Senate, which means the Senate, the House, and the White House, the executive branch. Guys, look at what is happening right now across our country in democratically run states, right? Look at what's happening in California. What a joke. What a joke. I mean, these lockdowns, and then you've got a governor running off to dinner, spending 22 grand with his friends or at a table at some restaurant while he's telling the rest of us to lock down. I was in California all last year, every month. I used to live there. I grew up there for a while. After I came back from Saudi Arabia, I lived in California. It was tough. I watched the state change. I watched it shift. It was a mess. And it was even more of a mess when I was going down there every month. I love, love, love the state. I don't hate the state. It's not about that. It's the politics of the state that's destroying it, right? This beautiful state. I was in Santa Monica, California. I go for the Steve Hilton show. I used to travel every single month, sometimes twice a month, to go do Steve's show. I love his show. And I hope you all watch it on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. with Steve Hilton. I'll be on there as well, frequently, and probably this Sunday as well. So I just want to fill you in. I'm walking down Santa Monica Boulevard. I'm literally stepping over homeless people. I feel so terrible. I saw a man defecating in the street. I see business owners in tears because they not only are they dealing with that, but now they're dealing with lockdowns. I wouldn't want to live in California. I wouldn't want to deal with that. It's ridiculous. We don't need to be dealing with that. I want to play you a clip. I want to play you another clip. This is the reason why we have to hold the Senate, folks. Don't stay home. Give it a fighting chance at least. Don't give up on America. Don't think that because you stay home, someone's going to change their mind. I can't find anybody at the Department of Justice It's a mess over there. They're not even doing their job. You have to do your job. You have to fight for your country. If you don't fight for it, no one else will. I want to play you this clip. This is Senator Loeffler, and she confronts Warnock on his divisiveness because, by the way, he is a Marxist socialist. And this is from the Atlanta Press Club and the Georgia Public Television. Thank you so much for the clip.
Look, I'm not going to be lectured by someone that uses the Bible to justify abortion, to attack our men and women in the military. You know, what's happening here is someone who will not own up to their own record of division. He has called on Americans to repent for their worship of whiteness. That's divisive. That's hurtful. He's celebrated Jeremiah Wright, anti-Semite. He's actually called Israel an apartheid state. That is wrong for America, and I'm going to continue to make sure Georgians understand that that is him in his own words.
I want you to listen to this next clip. It's also from the Atlanta Press Club and the Georgia Public Television. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about why Warnock really is who he says he is when he's behind closed doors. Listen to this.
It's your turn to ask a question of Reverend Warnock.
Reverend Warnock, in your writings and your teachings, you've repeatedly praised Marxism and the redistribution of income. Can you here and now, for all Georgians, renounce socialism and Marxism?
Listen, I believe in our free enterprise system. And my dad was a small business owner. And during the Great Recession, you know what I was doing? I was leading my church to build a community center where, among other things, we had a financial literacy center that taught people how to repair their credit, create a 700 credit score community, how to create a business, how to buy a home, how to participate in our free enterprise system. Kelly Loeffler, on the other hand, was teaching the big banks how to hide their investments offshore in the Cayman Islands. This is how she spent her career before she went to the Senate. This is what she's been focused on now that she's in the Senate. She was only there 3 weeks. I'm not sure she was fully unpacked when she started dumping millions of dollars of stock trying to protect herself.
So he blames Senator Loeffler for her what? Because she's a capitalist and because she's made a life for herself. But did you notice he would not answer her question? He just basically refused to answer whether he's a Marxist or a socialist. I want to explain to you what is happening here. This is the Trojan horse. This is what is happening to America. Right before our very eyes, people are coming in and they're presenting themselves one way. They're presenting themselves to be one thing. They talk very sweet. It comes across like butter. I'm a reverend. I care about you. I want to do my best for you. They don't want to tell you the truth. They don't want to tell you what they really believe, who they really are inside. They're not going to do that. President Trump will do that. He does it all the time, even when it upsets people, which is the reason why so many, elitists on the East Coast and West Coast can't stand him. See, they're so used to lying to you. They're so used to pretending to be one thing. They want those pretenses. They don't want anyone to talk directly to you. They don't care about you. They don't care about how much money you owe on your mortgage. They don't have to worry about it. They live in these beautiful homes, these lavish lifestyles, or they're snobs, they're professors, right? We know what's best for you, little deplorables, American people. You don't know anything. Get out of my way. They like these pretenses. They certainly do not want someone who's going to question them, right? That's what President Trump would do. He'd come into Washington, D.C. and looked around the swamp and said, why are we paying all these people money? Like, what the hell's going on over at the EPA? The Environmental Protection Agency? There's all these crazy jobs in there that mean absolutely nothing. Like, I think somebody's like testing the water once a month and like they're just sitting in an office. I don't know. Same test over and over again. What's going on at the NIH, the National Institutes of Health? Oh, wow. You don't want to say anything about their crazy experiments, the same ones that they do over and over and over and over again for the last 20 years, get these huge grants, right? Big fat grants for doing the exact same thing. You know what? And if you believe all kinds of crazy, like scientific experiments to try to prove that we are polluting our planet to the point of no return, you will get those grants too. But when President Trump came in and he started questioning all of this, he started deregulating. When he starts talking about it, guess what happens? Guess what happens? They freak out. They freak out. They're like running around in circles. They're like scrambling. Like, they talk about like the rats on a ship. They're like terrified. Like, oh, they're going to find out the truth. The American people, we've already found out the truth. Guys, we found it out. When he became president and when the people said, I'm so sick of the Washington establishment in 2016, he became president, like Pandora's box opened. And it has not shut. It's like crazy. We can't control it now. We're seeing it all. We're seeing it all. That's why I'm going to have Congressman Andy Biggs. He is the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus on this show. That's why I'm bringing him on, because he doesn't care. He's not trying to be anybody else. He doesn't have pretenses. He is a man of the people. I'm telling you this. I know these congressmen to some extent, after all these years of working and trying to write these stories on Capitol Hill with the Russia hoax, there are some people that are just downright honest. They don't care. They don't have any aspirations to try to put on any pretenses. They're not playing the Hollywood game. Believe me, Matthew McConaughey, what he said this week about the fact that Hollywood is full of hypocrisy. God, I hope he runs for office in Texas. I hope he runs for governor. But what he said about them, he's 100% right. They are hypocrites. They want you to accept this election no matter what you see, no matter what evidence of possible fraud exists. They don't want you to check it out. They don't want anyone to investigate. They want to make fun of anybody who's calling for an investigation. They want to call anybody who calls for an investigation a conspiracy theorist, because this is how they operate. They try to debase you. They push you off. They create a narrative that makes the world turn on you the minute you open your mouth, which is why the silent majority was so big, right? Because everybody who wanted to say out loud that they supported Trump didn't, because they were afraid. Was my boss going to fire me? If I wear that hat, is my neighbor going to get mad at me? There's over 73 million of us. Let me play a quick clip before we get to Congressman Biggs. I want you to hear this clip. It's great. It's President Trump at the rally. This is a C-SPAN clip. Thank you, C-SPAN. President Trump in Georgia.
We're gathered here tonight to ensure, a very important word, ensure, because these are two great, great people that I know so well and respected by everybody in Washington and beyond, that David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler win the most important congressional runoff probably in American history. I really believe that. I think it's in American. There's never been a time like this where you have two at one time. At least you have two beauties. And you know what? You also have two beauties running against them, but beauty in a different way. They're two beauties. But there's never been a case where a state has had this prominence on Senate races, because they're never together. And this is something that's very important, and you have to get out and you have to vote. You have to make sure you have every vote counted. Every vote has to count. You got to make sure they don't throw away any ballots. You got to make sure that when they collect the ballots and they start bragging about how many ballots they already have, you got to make sure your Secretary of State knows what the hell he's doing. And you got to make sure your governor gets a lot tougher than he's been. He's got to get a lot tougher. Because at stake in this election is control of the U.S. Senate, and that really means control of this country.
Listen to what President Trump has to say. I couldn't have said that better myself. We really are at a time in history right now where we have to make a decision. You're up at the plate, Georgia. You're up at the plate for the rest of the country. No pressure. Try not to put a lot of pressure on you, but you got to hit this home run. You got to get out there and you got to try. You got to knock that ball right out of the park. You have to hit it right out of the park, because if you don't, the Senate will be under Democrat control. You'll have the Congress. You'll have the White House, the executive branch. They will literally control everything. It's up to you. Get out there and vote. I know you're frustrated. I know you're angry. You're angry about the election. A lot of you feel like the rug has been pulled out from underneath you, but we are not out of this fight yet. We are Americans. We're going to continue to fight. We're going to tell the Democrats that we will continue to fight. We're not going to fight each other. We're going to do this the right way. We are going to hold them accountable, and we're going to keep investigating. I will. And I know you will too. Just please, please, please get out there and vote. And when you do, it'll be really, really cold. It'll be cold on January 5th. So I want you to get your heat holders, folks, your heat holders. There is nothing better than this. They've got gloves, they got hats, they've got blankets, and I have tried all of them. I ordered them for my family at Christmas, socks for my little daughter on Elise. I got hats for Sophia. I got gloves for Alex, Luke, and Justin. Guys, I'm telling you, only a few of my presents right now, but I ordered for the whole family. Even got a blanket for my brother-in-law, Doug. Okay. Even got a blanket. This stuff just keeps you so warm. And we are a family that loves the cold. We love to go skiing. We love to do all kinds of things. So I can't wait to use my heat holders. Plus, they're super fashionable. So you want to go to heatholders.com. You want to enter the code Carter, that's CARTER, at checkout. And that will allow you to save 15% off your order. It makes a huge difference when you're ordering for your family. You'll receive free shipping as well with any purchase of $25 or more. And it's really easy to spend $25 there because you're going to want to buy something for everyone. There's no need for icy cold feet this winter. Just go to heatholders.com and use the code Carter. That's CARTER. That's heatholders.com. Heat Holders, making life warmer. So grateful to have you at the Sara Carter Show again, Congressman Biggs, because you are making news all over the place. And especially on, I'm just going to jump right into it. You know where I'm going with this. On Twitter, over the weekend, I have right here in my trusty notes, there was a battle going on. And you were very eloquent. You, like always, defended freedom. You're chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. I mean, you are a big defender of our country and America, and you just put out, like all freedom-loving Arizonians, I am left wondering if the governor intends to coerce vaccinations. This is about COVID-19 and the vaccinations, and whether the state legislature will let him. Like, are we going to be forced to vaccinate? And you got a response back from Daniel Scarpinato.
Pretty close. That's a good.
Scarpinato. You just call him Scarp.
Yeah.
He just calls him Scarp, folks. And he said, we always knew you were nuts, but you've now officially confirmed it for the whole world to see. Congratulations. Enjoy your time as a permanent resident of Crazy Town. I was like, don't you want to take me to Funky Town? I mean, he can't even. I was like, what's wrong with this man? So I came out in your defense. Granted, I was at a dinner party and had a little too much to drink. I'm admitting that to everyone. But I came out and I just went after him. I just told this guy, go home, get out of the bar, stop drinking. Don't go after Andy Biggs. He's a freedom-loving American. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? In reality, he went off. I figured he had been drinking. I figured that was the deal. But the reality is, even after all of the stuff that they said, and they were kind of trashing me personally, I'm okay with that. It's not really nice, but they did it. They still never answered the question. That's the thing that gets to me is you still haven't told us, are you going to mandate the vaccine? And I simply asked that. That's what I want to know. Are you going to try and mandate the vaccine?
This is a very serious question because as Americans, we have the right to make our own choices. At least that's what I thought. At least that's what I thought. And now more and more, I'm seeing what's happening in California. We're seeing what's happening in Oregon. I'm talking about democratically run states, right? Mostly. And it feels as though we are slowly losing our freedoms. Lisa Booth put out a tweet today and, I kind of went a little bit further. She said, serious question. Are we losing our freedom? And I feel like somehow freedom is slipping from our hands if we don't fight for it. Am I wrong? Am I being too negative? What is going on here?
You're exactly right. In fact, I would say we're not losing the freedom slowly. I think we're losing them very quickly. If you look over the 10-month period that we've had here, Americans have acquiesced to this tyranny that's out there. I mean, this notion of locking down, this notion that a governor can come in and pinpoint and identify whatever businesses he wants or she wants to close down. Basically, it allows the governors to step in, and in other places, mayors and city councils to step in and take away the freedoms that we acknowledge are God-given rights. And so when we start off with mask mandates, we start off with lockdowns, we start off with no travels, we start off with closing down schools, and then we just keep progressing, and we say, okay, everybody's going to lock down. Well, that's a problem, but at least they're treating everybody poorly. But then all of a sudden they're going to pinpoint, and there's no evidence to sustain any of this. There's no science. They say we're following the science, and you know what's weird about it? And I shouldn't say weird. It's actually despicable and evil about this is when you say, look, you shut down, you close down, you don't get together for Thanksgiving. Oh, by the way, I'm going to fly to Mississippi to be with my family, or we're going to fly to Mexico to be with my family. We're going to go to the dirty laundry, or the French laundry.
The dirty laundry. That's exactly where I thought he was going.
Exactly.
Governor Newsom is always going to the dirty laundry. And by the way, when you spend $22,000 on a meal, I'm a capitalist. I believe if you got the money, spend it, right? But when you're telling small business owners that they've got to shut down their restaurants, that they can't open their businesses, and then you spend $22,000 laughing it up with your buddies in Napa Valley at the dirty laundry, French laundry, folks. I don't want to get sued for that. Dirty laundry. Although it would be a better restaurant name, I think. The Dirty Laundry restaurant where Governor Newsom was having his fun. It's disgusting. It is a slap in the face.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't stop there. It's all over the place. And it's just happened time after time. And you know what it is? If you're a Democrat, you think, and you're a rich, wealthy Democrat in particular, you're not going to get the COVID. That's why you don't have to do what anybody else that you tell everybody else to do. This really is a smart virus. And the smart virus says if you're out after 10 p.m., oh, you can't, you're in trouble. We've got a gym owner that they've issued 40 criminal citations to this guy because he won't shut down. And why won't he shut down? Because it's a closed facility. You have to get permission to come in. He makes sure everybody's good before they come in. And they haven't had one case in this whole time.
So why are they doing this, Congressman? You're up on Capitol Hill. You're talking to folks all the time. I'm talking to regular folks. I'm just like everybody else. I'm not going to the French laundry. I can't spend $22,000 on a meal, although my husband would have a heart attack if I did. He literally would. I'm a regular person. I'm talking to people out there and they're saying, what is going on here? Why are we being treated as if we have no common sense? Why are we being treated like we're idiots? There's more than 73, maybe 74 million that President Trump, voted for President Trump in this election. Americans, 74 million that we know of. And think of all the other ones that support him that didn't vote, right? Because they don't vote. And so they've got to be kind of on the same page. Why are Americans being treated this way? What does the government have to gain from this? I mean, I'm almost afraid that something is happening here that I'm not aware of.
Well, I think that they want to irrigate power. They want power to come to the center. I'm a big believer that anytime somebody gets some power or thinks they've got some power, they almost immediately start trying to get more power, and they abuse the power. And what we see here is this notion, this movement, and it's not new. It's been going on, but we've kept it in abeyance. Mm-hmm. But it really broke free when the Squad got elected, and when the Squad came in with their ultra left, they were running as Marxists. They're really, Marxist is one step further than a fascist. A fascist is where they let you own the means of production, but the government controls it. That's where we are. We're in a fascist state right now, where the government is trying to control all the means of production. That's just movement on a different place for lack of freedom. They want to take it away. They want power and control. That's what this is about.
Well, what do you think about the fact that Ilhan Omar's, speaking of the Squad, that her now husband, the man she was having an affair with, on her husband, former husband, received over $500,000 of taxpayer money for his small business? I mean, this is alleged, but I mean, this is what they're looking at. This is crazy. And how come she's not being held accountable? I mean, if this was Ivanka Trump, my gosh. take her out to the slaughter, that they're after her and, Don Jr. and Eric Trump every single day, and President Trump. But here we have $500,000 going to her new husband that she was having an affair with while she was telling everybody else how to live their life and what to do. She was doing whatever she wanted. And then we have, in California, the Secretary of State there allocating like $32 million from COVID funding, right, to a PR firm allegedly connected to the Biden family. I mean, and this is just a couple of examples. I just want to get your take on that.
Yeah, and don't forget the time that you had the Democrat Party in Florida that was getting PPP money as well.
That's right.
So
that's right.
What you have here is, and this is really when you have authoritarians in control, that's what they do. They are corrupt. This is why I've voted against these, because there were so many things not to like about these relief packages. But I said, where's the accountability? Who's going to hold anybody accountable? When you start just throwing money out there, there'll be corruption. And so you got the money.
$2 trillion plus dollars.
Yeah.
$2 trillion.
And they're trying to tell us Sarah, they're trying to tell us they're paring down this next one. It's only going to be $1 trillion. So that's really we cut it by 50%. That's really cool. You can't make this stuff up. So that mentality that Ilhan Omar has, that we're going to funnel this money to my new husband, or the Secretary of State, who, by the way, he's going to be nominated to be in a Biden cabinet post, it looks like. And
right.
And he's taking that money, they're using it for voter outreach, which, by the way, the Help America Votes Act, that it prohibits the use of federal money for campaign or reaching out or voter contact by a party or another.
But that appears what they used it for. That appears to be what they used it for. Is anyone going to look? We're before we get there, because I know you're a freedom-loving American and you and I are both mature people. Would you pay your hard-earned money to join an organization that actually stood against tax cuts for middle-class Americans and small business owners like me? No, you wouldn't do that. So don't join AARP. Just don't join it. Join AMAC. It's the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC offers an alternative to just about every benefit that AARP offers. But without that liberal agenda, we don't want that. Become an AMAC member right now with a 1-year free membership. All you have to do is go to amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter. There is a ton of work to be done. And look, AMAC is asking that you help them join the fight, the good fight, by becoming a member today. Look, I stand with AMAC, and I hope that you will too. I encourage you to join today at amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter. The benefits of membership are great, but the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Carter. Okay, now we are back. I believe in small business and the American dream. This is what it's all about, and being able to build a life for you and your family, and everyone out there knows the struggle. I mean, over the last year, so many Americans, Congressman, they've lost their jobs or their businesses have been shuttered, and it doesn't seem like the government really understands or even really cares, and particularly the Democrats. And we were just talking about the $2 trillion allocated towards COVID, but I don't even know where all of that money went or even where it's going. And I think Americans are completely frustrated if anybody's going to be held accountable. We talked about Ilhan Omar and her husband. We talked about whether or not this $35 million that went to a public relations firm connected allegedly to Joe Biden, whether anybody will be held accountable. And what about now with Durham? I can't let you go without asking this. With John Durham's supposed report and, Attorney General William Barr, now there's rumors that he's going to resign. What were these guys doing with us all this time? I mean, I spent 4 years working on these stories, and I feel like they went into the black abyss of the Department of Non-Justice.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm so frustrated. So let's unpack a lot of what you're just saying. So first of all, you need a Department of Justice to run down fraud or corruption when you start throwing $2 trillion into the economy. And we haven't seen a lot of that. And we, the Freedom Caucus, we just wrote a letter last week as a follow-up saying, hey, Mr. Barr, we asked you weeks ago to look into this. And instead of looking into it, you said, well, there's no voter fraud, for instance. That's what we were talking about. And I said, well, how do you know? You didn't investigate. If you didn't investigate, then you wouldn't know whether there's fraud or not. But I'm disgusted. He's named Durham to be special counsel, ostensibly so he can keep investigating in a Biden era.
That's not going to happen, though. We know he's not going to have the teeth to do anything with that. Because he wasn't appointed from the outside. He was appointed from the inside. I think Andrew McCarthy wrote a great column on that about how this has absolutely no teeth.
Right. I think it's dubious at best. I mean,
right.
We're not going to see anything. But the good news is that won't be a surprise because over the last 2 or 3 years, we haven't seen anything. So at least there won't be a surprise where an indictment will slip out by accident or something like that.
So sad.
It is truly sad. I know you've worked so hard on this, and we in Congress, some of us in Congress, we've been there since the beginning. And it's just like, I'm moving my office tomorrow, and I've got boxes of notebooks and files on the investigations on everything from James Comey and company going after Trump. I mean, look. It was a coup attempt, and you and I were probably the first two to say this is a coup attempt years ago, and it's still there. And that's what you're seeing. Quite frankly, that's what many in the base believe is happening with the election.
Yes, that's it. That's where I want to go with you too, because it feels like it's an extension of what we were seeing and investigating. And you're right. If it wasn't for Congress, just for all of you out there, if it wasn't for Congressman Andy Biggs, if it wasn't for Devin Nunes, if it wasn't for Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, John Ratcliffe, Doug Collins, a lot of these folks, Senator Ron Johnson, we would not have, or Senator Chuck Grassley, we would not have this information. We would not know half of it. We did our best as journalists. There was some John Solomon out there, others who were doing their best to get the truth out. But we wouldn't know any of this if it wasn't for you. So thank you very much for doing that. But the sad thing is that now I think we see that the emperor has no clothes. There's nobody in America to hold anybody accountable.
Well, I wouldn't say they won't hold anybody accountable. If you're a Republican and a conservative and a Trump supporter, you might be held accountable for something you didn't do. And that's why everybody is so cynical. I mean, you go to talk to regular folks on the street and just ask them about what's going on, and they will be so much more cynical than they were 5-6 years ago. They didn't like necessarily the Obama administration, or they loved the Obama administration. But one thing for certain now is almost everybody, either side of the aisle, believes that you cannot trust the institutions which are meant to safeguard our freedoms. They're not safeguarding our freedoms. And that's why you have a two-tier justice system. That's why you can have, this notion of Ilhan Omar's husband allegedly getting money. Why wouldn't he take it? He's not going to get investigated for it. Or if he does get investigated, nothing's going to happen.
Well, no one's investigating the election, Congressman. Right. No one's investigating the election. What's going on there? I mean, in Arizona right now, we have some state legislators that are asking, they were out there saying, please, we've got to do something about this. But you've got Republicans there, too, that are saying, oh, no, we're not going to. Nope. And the governor, nope, we're not going to even listen to you. We're moving forward. Joe Biden is president-elect, and we're not going to investigate. What can happen?
Well, and so they're having another rally today with legislators again coming out and saying we want an audit. And think about this. This is how crazy this has become. And basically, it's more than crazy. It just seems. I don't know what the word to get at is. It's like you're in Alice in Wonderland. It just doesn't make sense. It's upside down. It's topsy-turvy. All the governor has to do is either bring the legislature in and they can vote to have an audit, or the Board of Supervisors could order an audit, or the governor could issue an executive order. And what would an audit do? A forensic audit. It would either say that what the governor's been saying is right, that we had a wonderful election, there was no fraud, there was every legal ballot was counted and no illegal ballots were counted. That's what it would show. He'd be a hero for that. Or it would say, look, we did find a systemic problem. We did find enough ballots to bring this into question, and then you could pursue the remedy. He'd be a hero for that. You can't lose.
So why won't he do it? He obviously feels he has something to lose.
Well, they went so defensive. I mean, it's like Georgia. Georgia, I don't know if you saw this. The Georgia governor basically said, we're not going to do anymore. We're done.
We saw that with Kemp. He's walking away from it.
And I believe that they got out on this thing, and there was almost immediately this incredulity on the part of people who support Donald Trump. And we're not out there with pink hats and marching in the street yet, anyway. But what we are doing is we're saying this doesn't look right, and that's how it started. And they immediately came out and said, "No, this was perfect. This was perfect." So they were very defensive. And then as evidence began coming out, hundreds and hundreds of affidavits. The guy who said that he trucked tens of thousands of pre-marked ballots. You start looking at that stuff and say, okay, maybe we should investigate that. You know what happens? In the old days, the Department of Justice would say, we have an indicia of a crime. Let's investigate it. And they get their warrants based on a confidential informant. In this case, they're not confidential. They're out there with affidavits. And you go to court and say, we need a warrant. We want to investigate this. But they don't do it. And that's the thing. You don't know. I don't know why.
It's the black abyss at the DOJ. Everything's falling into this like black hole, like in the universe, where nothing is being taken care of. I know you've got to run. I want to give you the last word. I know you have an extremely busy day ahead of you. What do we as Americans do? What can we do? The 73 plus million and others who I believe are good Americans out there that voted for Joe Biden, it's fine. But what do Americans do to move forward? And I'll give you the last word on that.
Yeah, don't forget 30% of Democrats also believe that things were not on the up and up in the election.
Right.
Yeah, so what I would say that you can't give up hope. First of all, you got to keep believing that this is an exceptional country. You got to believe that. If you don't believe that, it's not worth fighting for. But we do believe that. We do believe in our freedom, so you can never give up hope. The second thing I would say is you have to encourage everybody in Georgia. You got to vote. You got to vote for these two Republicans, no matter how.
Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. You got to get out there and vote for both of them because we're going to lose the Senate. The GOP will lose the Senate if you don't.
That's right. And so if you can keep the Senate there, people said, I was at a rally in Georgia on Saturday, and the people said, they asked me, well, Andy, it's a rigged election. I said, you will never get a chance to even contest an election if you lose it by 250,000 votes. But if you get out there and you make the case by voting and you get a great turnout and we lose by 5,000 or 10,000 votes, guess what you got? Now you've got a case if there's been corruption. Don't give up that hope. Don't give up your vote. You've got to vote. And then the next thing is you've got to keep speaking out and demand that people be held accountable. And so if you're in any of these states, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada. I actually talked to someone from New Mexico today. They believe they found some problems in New Mexico or Arizona. You have to keep fighting until there's no more air in the coffin. I hate to put it that way, but that's the way it is.
Oh, that is the way it is. Everybody get out there and fight. Listen to what the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus is saying. He's 100% right. He was out there with the president at the rally on Saturday. And I know that that's also what the president wants. He wants people to get out there and vote. And we just got to keep fighting. We can't give up. We can't lock ourselves on lockdown. We cannot do it. Thank you so much, Congressman, for being a part of the show. You're welcome back anytime. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks, Sarah. And thanks for your drunk, crazed tweet the other night. That was great. I love it. I'll do it again. I promise. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, you got it. See you soon. Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it. Folks, that's the reason why I ask Congressman Andy Biggs to come on the show, because I know that he's going to just tell you the truth. And I want the truth here at the Sarah Carter Show. I'm so tired of people putting on airs and pretenses. Oh, wait, very much like Dr. Fauci, the world's greatest epidemiologist. Let's listen to Dr. Fauci in this clip. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what does Biden use? Malarkey we have had to put up with Dr. Fauci. When you're in the middle of an outbreak,
wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. And often there are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask and they keep touching their face.
And can you get some schmutz sort of staying inside there?
Of course. But when you think masks, you should think of healthcare providers needing them and people who are ill.
Right. You see how Dr. Fauci is? Does it remind you of like how back and forth he's been on everything? And don't try to tell me, or any of us out there who've questioned this ridiculous back and forth. Our government's just failed us miserably on this, on COVID, that we're supposed to not question it because, we've learned more about COVID since January, and then there's a back and forth and of this and that and all these issues. No, people have known about communicable diseases since mankind first started getting communicable diseases. Communicable diseases have been studied throughout medicine, both ancient medicine, medieval medicine, modern medicine, and we're getting better and better at it, of course. But, it was like, don't wear a mask, wear a mask. I mean, it's the simple things, right? These are simple things. I have to believe that so much of this was politicized. Look, I believe COVID-19 is really there. I know it is. I mean, I know people who have suffered from it. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying, like, what has happened with us? We've just lost all our ability to ask questions, to hold people accountable. We're supposed to believe what the media is telling us is true all the time without question. I mean, they went back and forth on what we were supposed to do. Remember the lockdowns? People were terrified of leaving their homes. Some people still are. Children aren't in schools. I want to look at this. I literally was talking about this on earlier episodes. Literally talking about the effects of lockdowns on our children. Other people were warning about all of these issues. I deliver food sometimes with my church and, donate food and sometimes deliver food to lower income homes for children and families in need. And during the first part of the lockdowns, I was in an area here in Virginia delivering food. It's mostly Spanish-speaking community. And I would see the kids out in the streets or the kids watching TV like cartoons when I'd bring the groceries over to leave at their house. And I would say to them, I speak Spanish, how are you doing? Are you in school? Do you have a computer? Where's your family? If their mothers weren't home or if nobody was watching them. And they were like, we're not in school because of the COVID and we can't get on the computer, or no, I'm not doing it, or I'm outside playing right now. Our kids were not learning. Children were not learning. And there was a lot of kids that were just out there because their parents had to work. Some of their parents maybe work as cleaning personnel, or they're, mechanics, or they're working in a hospital, or maybe at a church or something of that nature. But they can't give up their job. They still had a job. Who were they going to leave their children with? Who was going to watch their kids? Our kids, right? Because we are a community. Well, right now, finally, the Washington Post wants to write a story on it. They wait till after the election, but they were talking about this after the U.S. education system fractured into Zoom screens, which is just ridiculous. Experts feared millions of children would fall behind. Now, Republicans, we were saying that. GOP was saying that. The Democrats thought we wanted to kill everybody's grandma. No, we were just talking about our children and the facts. Well, listen to this. A flood of new data on the national, state, and district levels finds that students began this academic year already behind. Most of the research, it concludes that students of color and those in high poverty communities fell further behind than their peers, exacerbating long-standing gaps in American education. Well, you think people finally just woke up? What do you think was happening to children in poverty-stricken neighborhoods or low-income neighborhoods when their parents couldn't watch them, when they couldn't even afford a sitter to watch, or a tutor for their children, or their parents don't have the same skill sets to teach. Or some of these kids are home, it doesn't matter, even in wealthy homes. Some of them are in abusive homes. There was no respite for them, no place to go. Society has been turned up on its head, and we're hearing that a Biden-Harris administration believes in these lockdowns. Folks, this is just the first time. I'm not playing games here. I feel, and I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to go straight into Durham and Barr before I leave this podcast with you. I'm going to leave you with a few of those thoughts. But right now, I'm telling you, this is a test run. This was a test run. Let's hope we never have to go through these lockdowns again. But by God, I feel like they have been so successful at getting people locked down over fear that this could be a tool that they could use, anytime without looking for other solutions. We really got to think about that and think about what we're doing to our kids and think about what we're doing to our society and to our culture. I mean, this is really something that we're going to pay a price for in years to come. I believe that 100%. I want to play a quick clip here before I get off. This is John Ratcliffe, fantastic. John Ratcliffe, he is demanding that Durham release an interim report.
I thought, like you, Maria, that there was going to be an interim report before the election. I think that there should have been. But the election's over, so it's not political anymore. I think the American people should know what's happening in a 2-year investigation into this, and I hope that report will be forthcoming. I will say this, Maria, the special counsel, obligations, whether John Durham is a U.S. attorney, special U.S. attorney, or special counsel, it's a matter of semantics. American people deserve a full accounting, but the special counsel regulations not only require a final report, they allow for interim reports. So I'd like to see an interim report that talks about this from the angle of someone that has not only the intelligence community documents that I have, but the law enforcement documents that show that there was no proper predicate for Crossfire Hurricane, because there certainly wasn't any given by the intelligence community to the FBI before this illegal spying began. And by the way, it is illegal spying. The current FBI director has admitted that.
That was with Maria Bartiromo, that's DNI, Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, former congressman, speaking to Maria on her Sunday Morning Future show. I agree with him completely. There should be some type of interim report, but I disagree with him on one part. I believe the American people deserve a lot more than a report. People should be held accountable. William Barr and John Durham should have done their jobs. And I do not believe, and I'm with Andrew McCarthy on this. I know he wrote a great piece for National Review. I don't think it's going to have the teeth, John Durham's special counsel, to do anything. I think that our Justice Department has failed the American people, failed our nation, failed our founding fathers, failed our Constitution, failed our Bill of Rights. And it's absolutely unacceptable. And we should demand more of those people that we pay their salaries, folks. It's our taxpayer dollars. They work for us. Do your job, Washington. Do your job. And America, do your job. We got to hold these people accountable. We've got to vote them out of office if they're not doing their jobs. That's our job. Our job is to make their lives miserable until they do what we need them to do. And they need to bring integrity back to our FBI, to our DNI. You know what? They need to bring integrity back to all of our institutions, because if they don't, we are going to live in a fundamentally different country, one that you and I both know will be miserable, one that will destroy the actual foundation that our founding fathers put in place. We can't allow that to happen. We will not allow that to happen. Keep fighting. I know you will. I know I will. Here at the Sara Carter Show, we're taking back the story. And if you love this podcast, please go on, write a review, give us 5 stars. I love 5 stars. Write reviews. Let us know what you want to talk about. Let us know what you want to hear, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. We are watching you here at the Sara Carter Show. Thank you so much. Don't forget to go to saraacarter.com for the latest and greatest stories and all of my contact information.
Hi, it's Dana Lash, host of The Dana Show. Every day, I'm here to keep you up to speed on the most important stories and info that you need to know in your very busy life. And if you're always on the go and you want to stay connected, just download our daily podcast and take it with you. It's a great way to get up to speed on what you need to know and what legacy media may not be telling you. Visit danaradio.com and click on the podcast link or subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.